It has been a while since the last video, and obviously a lot has changed during it. As you may know, some info about Typical Colors 2 that I put in my video may be outdated due to the fact that TC2 has been banned in the Netherlands and Belgium, which you may have read in the beginning of the video and heard it on the video titled Top 9 Reasons Why TC2 Fell Off, in which I said,
Belgium, which doesn't exist, they banned the game. Netherlands, which is a hellhole, you shouldn't go there.
which I've also decided to private. Why? Well, to put it in layman's terms, if you have a video that is performing poorly, then YouTube will try to recommend your viewers to that specific video and not your other videos. Which means that your other videos will get less views, which also means less money, which blah 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 blah. Now if you really want to watch the top 8 reasons video, it will be linked in the description. Oh yeah, there's also a link to my second channel in the description, where I post gameplay videos and some other crap on there. So yeah, now there's something to watch during an 8-month delay between my videos. Also, I know that my channel has kind of fell off, but it doesn't really matter since my channel has had a history of falling off. Oh yeah, and I'm pretty sure you noticed that the style of editing definitely has changed from the last video. A lot of custom made stuff is now on screen and not image that you can easily obtain from searching up on Google. I've also decided to make a little team for this video, because you know, actually it's quite self-explanatory. So it all started in 2015 when, fast forward, 2020 when I decided to start actively playing this game called Typical Colors 2. Don't know why, maybe it was just locked down, but at that point I joined a server called the TC2 Competitive server. Now obviously me being 7 years old decided to do what every adult did, which was to immediately reach level 50 as if I was trying to hit a new world record, and then 2 days later upload a Redding Bombarder with comments saying that's fake, and upload random TC2 videos. For any future YouTuber out there, it's going to be certain that your first video will be completely loathed by your future self. But hey, you gotta start somewhere. And my start was me being in the game Night VC playing another Roblox game made by the same people who made Typical Colors 2 called Murder!
Oh my god, that's a lot, that's a lot. Oh, run, oh shoot, oh shoot. Oh god, oh no. Oh, holy crap, how many are there?
Babby, what are you doing here? I'm doing my outro. Oh my god!
And then for some reason, on the same day that that video was released, I decided to release this video called Jeff the Trooper Main Teaches You How to Get Good at Trooper, with a U and good as well. At least for this one, I don't have to show you the video, so L! What? Alright, fine.
If you die by him, rage in chat and just say, hey!
Those were basically my first 2 videos. So let's skip about all the way to TC2 Weapon Stereotypes Episode 1 Multiclass. This was the moment I actually started to make videos with care. Except for this one though.
Okay, show me.
Even though the video had very minimal editing, it was still a step forward from previous videos. Because not only did I use images to show something, which I obsessively used in What Happened to TC2, but because it was probably the first video I made with a script. Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure there have been some people waiting for 2 years for a Trooper Weapon Stereotypes video. Sorry to break it to you, but there isn't going to be one. As, well, it's stereotypes. You can make anything up about the people using a certain weapon and people will basically believe you. And also because I'm probably not going to make 8 more videos with the same topic but just with different classes. We also have the follow daily updates in the rising toxicity in the TC2 community, which I'm gonna be honest, was too biased and lazy in my opinion. Oh yeah, and Rush as well, because I made this video, and believe me when I say this, in 3 days. But with all that aside, this video was the first ever essay-like video I've ever made. Also, it wasn't inspired by Soundsmith like most people think, but rather by the Actman, which you may know due to... We also got Flank Weapon Stereotypes, the last one, and the classes of TC2. The class of TC2 was my first big video. It took roughly 3 months to make and lasted 21 minutes. But fun fact, this video was, and still is, my worst performing video. So yeah, all that for nothing. My naive brain then thought that almost everyone in the TC2 community would have at least seen it once and praised my video for its professionalism. Yes, I'm not kidding. But looking back at it now... yeah...
Do you remember the time you started playing TC2?
Not.
Around the delay between What Happened to TC2 and Classes of TC2, I was in another TC2bers Discord server, aka the Beta Zencool's Discord server, and met a few people by the names of Ryan Doge, who used to be a pariah and probably still is, Flammable25, who's now a furry due to suspicious circumstances done by one person, and Third Data. I remember once at the 5th of February, after What Happened to TC2, that there was an argument between Daya and Flammable where Flammable made a joke account called Knife Daya. Due to that, Daya made a Roblox game titled Finance and Knife Dayas, and us being us, we decided to actually work on the game for no reason except for the fun of it. And it's pretty good. Why is this animation playing but he's just standing still? But it has sadly never ever been finished like every project we have made. Fast forward 2 months, and me being me, I decided to work on the game, but with a twist. Not to upload it to Roblox, no. I wanted to make it through ClickTeam, and then upload it to GameJolt. Now some of you might be wondering, ugh, how is this related to typical horrors? Well, shush, we're getting to that part. The ClickTeam version of Five Nights at Freddy's was bad, but also the reason I got ClickTeam, and therefore the reason I made Typical Horrors. Now obviously I lost motivation on the project. Heck, I didn't even finish the hours thingy. If we fast forward a little bit later to what happened at TC2, we finally get to the development of the fan game. And it took like 9 minutes just to fully read the summary of the history of my channel. The development of Typical Horrors took roughly 2 months and 21 days to make. Just like, actually I've done that joke like 10 times already. I know that I started developing on the game on the 24th of July 2022 at roughly 3 PM CET, and released the first public version of the game on the 14th of October 2022 at, guess what? 3 PM CET as well. I don't recall why I decided to work on a random game that won't possibly ever get released to the public, right? Except for one thing. I had occasional daydreams of a game that was just like FNAF, but instead that these two characters would be the animatronics. In my head, the map was kind of like the Jollibee map, but with some extra things added. Where like Brute would obviously be the normal character. Flanker would have a mix of Annihilator Now and Foxy, where he would run by your office in order to trick you into closing the door to get into the power room, and someone that I don't recall being announced. So at 2:30 PM I decided, you know, what if I made a TC2 FNAF game? And so I decided to work on the game, imported the TC2 classes in the game, and develop. The first start I wanted to go for the office was kind of like the game All Insanity, but most of it was scrapped since I thought that the style felt too luxurious and unfitting. After that, I decided that the primary color of the office should be blue, because that's the color of the Blue Corporation. I also looked at images of VSB Rooftop, because that's where Five Nights at Unfortunate Sons was located, which is not an actual game for anyone wondering, it's just a joke death in 50 Ways to Die in TC2. So I decided to mix the All Insanity style and the TC2 style, primarily the window and the door, and the result I got was this. This is an early image, by the way. I added an achievement system into the game because when I was developing, I was kind of getting into the Henry Stickmin collection again because, you know, why not? And also because I thought that would spice the game up a little bit and increase replayability, even though FNAF fan games have no replayability at all. I originally wanted there to be office scrolling like in Jollibee, where you can almost view the entirety of the office. But when doing it, I came across a crap ton of issues and bugs doing it. And it overall took a lot of time and space. Oh yeah, speaking of that, you were originally intended to look at the vents and seal the vent if you saw Doctor in front of you, which would have been a lot scarier. Marksman was originally intended to close the windows here and therefore lower air quality, but I later changed the mechanic into a virus troll mechanic instead of a window animatronic. Because, you know, that's really boring, and because when trying to implement the office scrolling thing, I kind of just gave up and abandoned the project for around a month. And once I did start working on it again, the first thing I did was remove the office scrolling feature as it would have been too buggy to implement. Originally, the map was supposed to have one of those vent turbine thingies, which increases air quality just like the air purifiers in the finished product of the game. I got this idea from the fan game FNAF Fazbear Entertainment Storage, in which the animatronic Mango can destroy the vent turbine thingies in order to increase the temperature of the storage facility, and therefore be able to attack the night guard. I obviously scrapped this due to being unoriginal and replaced it with the humidity controller and the air purifiers. The reason why no animatronic has a weapon was due to the fact that I literally couldn't find it anywhere, and did not want to ask a TC2 developer if they can send me their weapon files in order for me to put it in a game. Since 1, the response I would have gotten was this, and 2, if they did respond, then they would think that I was a lunatic. It also would have worked out due to the fact that ClickTeam animatronics run on individual images and not videos, and would therefore take a lot of energy, time, and space to make. I could have used GIFs, but that obviously is very bad quality. And from the top of my head, I think you cannot stop looping a GIF in ClickTeam. I have always seen Brute as the icon of TC2, just like the Heavy from TF2, which is the reason why I made him the first animatronic to reach the office and gave him the basic AI of go inside office and capture the night guard. I do not know why I decided to give Doctor the vent mechanic. It was probably because when deciding the mechanics, I realized that even though I had vents, I didn't have a single animatronic with a vent mechanic, so I decided to give Doctor it. Adding the air quality index bar, or AQUA if you're nerdy, was definitely a mechanic I had to introduce. I didn't want to add another power system, because that would have been too repetitive and really hard to beat some nights due to the fact that the game just becomes cataclysmic once you reach night 5. I also didn't want to add a music box feature, because that would have made the game more difficult than it had to be, due to the fact that you would have need to wind a music box in one camera, then immediately look at 10 other cameras to fend off the other animatronics. The two mechanics that came to my mind were air quality and temperature. The reason I didn't add a temperature mechanic is because that mechanic is definitely becoming a little oversaturated. Oh yeah, the reason I chose the air quality mechanic instead of the temperature mechanic was due to a heat wave that lasted 3 months in 2022. While transpirating, I looked on my phone, went to the weather app, and noticed that it was around 36 to 38 degrees Celsius. But one thing I also noticed was that the air quality level was pretty high on the index bar, while normally the air quality would have been between healthy and moderate. And so I obviously decided to link the temperature with the air quality. By the way, I'm not a meteorologist, don't listen to me, don't! I had to give an animatronic that mechanic, and mechanic seemed like the most fitting since he's probably the one who thinks the most. Now obviously, if the air quality is high on the index bar, the first thing you would develop is a headache. And obviously, if you have a headache, you would have trouble thinking and therefore will get mad and so on and so on and so on until you get killed by mechanic due to air quality. After I was done designing the map, I couldn't give Flanker a sort of foxy mechanic due to the fact that he was just too far away and I would have therefore had to animate like 5 different cameras. And also because he started from a bathroom. And so I just decided to give him the same mechanic Brute has, with the exception that he has a fusion coil. The original mechanic of Arsonist was supposed to be a mix of Marksman and Arsonist's current mechanic and was basically meant to act like an elementary school bully. I later had to edit this mechanic of Arsonist as the office scrolling thing was later scrapped, and therefore I split the mechanic into Marksman and Arsonist, with Arsonist probably being the most annoying one, aka an antivirus software. After coming up with the air quality index bar, or I'll just call it AQUIB. After coming up with the AQUIB mechanic, I decided that instead of there being a couple breakable vents that reduce air quality, I decided that there would be a humidity controller for against the mold, and air purifiers for against rising air quality. The one animatronic I chose that was supposed to break the air purifiers was Trooper, as he is definitely the most reckless and aggressive class in Temple Colors 2. He was originally supposed to use weapons from TC2, and would throw his primary, secondary, and melee weapons onto the vents in order to break them. Now obviously, I couldn't find a way to get the TC2 weapons, and the only way I would've was to recreate them by myself, even though I am not the greatest in Blender. If you've listened closely, you may already know what Marksman's original mechanic was and how boring it was. The reason it was boring was due to the fact that I had already filled out every single mechanic for each class, and there wasn't really any room for Marksman except for the windows. After that, I decided to split it, giving Marksman a kind of malware role, with Arsonist doing nothing about it. Oh yeah, continuation on the daydreams. I wanted only Trooper and Annihilator to be trolls. By that I mean that they were meant to be the ones that caused the most amount of problems, which would indirectly cause your death. Annihilator was meant to be the one that would go to the power room and turn off the power box, which would mean that either Brute, Flanker, Doctor, or Mechanic would be the ones that would jump scare you in the dark. Agent was originally meant to be the one which would degrade electronic equipment in the building, like the tablet, power box, etc., using the zapper. But in the middle of development, I realized that making a FNAF fan game with Roblox characters in it is not scary at all. Like, there would be no good anticipation to a jump scare with Roblox-style animatronics in it. And so I decided to switch from full psychological horror to comedy horror. If you finish the game, you may know that Agent was the animatronic that would take all the horror aspects and throw it in the incinerator. But the mechanic isn't just for the fun of it. It would also distract you from other useful sound clues in the background, which means that Agent is a dirty game thrower! During early development, I wanted there to not be a Night 6 where the base animatronics all collectively get more aggressive, no. I wanted to add all bosses from the Versus Bosses game mode and make that the Night 6. Kind of like the Flumpty Night in One Night at Flumpty's Free. Oh yeah, and make new rooms for the map, and edit the existing ones, as well as giving the harder mechanics. Like for Joseph Hidden, which I plan to give him some kind of mold mechanic, where if you spend too long looking at the cameras, the view of the cameras will get blocked by mold, and will basically serve as a substitute for Agent. Bloxy Boy, which would have served as a substitute for both Arsonist and Marksman. Unfortunate Son, which had the same mechanic of Flanker, but just a little bit more chaotic than him. Mad Mechanic, which would have been like Mechanic, but even more crazy and hot-headed. Or like Brutal Marksman, where instead of blocking one window, he blocks 2 windows. Yes, I know, genius. At first, it sounded like a good idea, but I realized later on that I had to not only add the bosses to the custom night, but I had to somehow combine the Versus Bosses and base mechanics with one single compatible map to make it work. But hey, if I ever make a typical Horrors 2 game, then maybe, just maybe, I will add a Night 6 in the style of that. The first playtest EXE I made for Typical Horrors was on September 27th. I cannot just say that, first of all, the playtest edition has a lot of differences from the release version. And second, a lot of problems came with it, which I'll show you now. And finally, where's the achievement? Did it actually just put me back to night 1? Oh my goodness, it did. It's not even appearing.
Oh my god!
Now obviously, these have all been patched after like 8 different playtest executables or more. I don't know, I removed most of my hard drive. One thing that I wanted to do ever since I started working on the game was to, you know, see other people play the game. But to do that, I needed to somehow spread the word. So you can kind of visualize this situation using a hierarchy or a feudal system, but we're not going to name it that. But yeah, if you can't stand stereotypes videos on YouTube, then click off immediately. Just kidding, don't click! Okay, so at the lowest part, you have the new players and the no Discord users. The new players are just as it says in the name, new players. The level is usually around 0 to 15, and have very little influence on what happens at the top, which I'll get into later. The no Discord users can also be low leveled, but aren't necessarily. They're just players that don't have Discord, so their only way to communicate is to talk through Roblox chat or Skype. A few players belong to this rank, like for example, Ribzilla the Tank, Cool Good Trooper Main, Georgia Newfib 49533, WX0OL, and Jaden Halo 2029! A level above, you have the high levels and uninfluential YouTubers. The high levels are the T2 players whose level is at least 100 or more. They automatically become more influential the moment they reach 3 digits due to the fact that humans like big numbers. And also because they have, usually, more experience than the average player below level 100. The uninfluential YouTubers are the ones who do post these 2 videos, but ultimately have less than 150 subscribers. They don't have influence on the game or the community. They still need to pick up the pace and learn from their mistakes in order to become greater. This is their most influential title, and it really isn't that influential. Examples are Ryan Doge 473 FGO, Baba Gallian, Guppy Machine, and Green Snakes 2000. Once you reach the green tier, you have semi-influential YouTubers and the people with the committed member role in the T2 Discord. By semi-influential YouTubers, I mean the T2bers with at least 500 subscribers. They have some influence of the community and don't have a lot of influence over the game. They can also be uninfluential YouTubers who have an influential YouTuber as friend, and therefore just slightly reach the green tier. I'll go over influential YouTubers later. If you're in the T2 Discord, you'll know what a committed member is, but for anyone who is at the bottom of the hierarchy, I'll tell you a short summary about them. In the T2 Discord, there's a leveling system. If your level is above a certain threshold, then you get a certain rank depending on your level. Once you reach level 25, you'll get a signed colored role, the committed member role. They have roughly the same amount of power as a semi-influential YouTuber, but with the only difference being that they have less power over the community, but more power over the game. A couple people belong in this category, for example, Zin, Hidden Assassin 2, Trojan Keylog, and Agent Bloon. At the blue tier, you have the influential YouTubers and the contributors. The influential YouTubers are like a walking magnet. They have influence over the community and some influence over the game. The sub count to being an influential TeaStuber is 1500 or more. Oh yeah, if a semi-influential TeaStuber is friends with an influential TeaStuber, they'll still stay at the green tier. The contributors are, well, contributors to the game is self-explanatory. They've contributed to the game through the means of GFX, SFX, modeling, scripting, designing, etc. There are only a few lucky folks who belong at the blue tier as of right now. Dr. and at the most prestigious part and the last part of this hierarchy is the purple tier. There you have the developers. The developers are the ones with the most power over the community and the game, and are easily the most recognizable faces in the game. Just like Devrov. Okay, wait, no, he's above purple. I'll just put in, Executive Crab. This is the pyramid from top to bottom. Now, in my situation, you could view this as an oversimplification of let's say a meme that still has to get popular. And let's also say that that meme started from the high levels. If those few high levels have Discord, then it can be easily sent to the other tiers. It's a flanker meme, and the high level finds it very funny. He'll spread it to the other high levels to try to popularize it. Then those high levels will send the meme to other tiers. It'll set off a chain reaction where the memes get imported and exported out of the other tiers. But this meme won't reach the depths because it sucks and because it's flanker. Well, it can be the same for games. I was in the green tier, so I had to somehow make someone more influential than me to play the game, like it, and then popularize it in under a second by pressing the enter key on Discord. Or I could make a video about it and make money and popularize it at the same time. With the expensive time. I ultimately decided to make a video on it because it was the best choice I could make, which is this video. Oh yeah, and fun fact, this video is the longest video I've ever made. As of this part of the script, I expect this video to be around an hour and 50 minutes long. So if you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that every time I post the videos, I basically fall off like a month after it gets released. And that video that I posted was literally my only idea I had in my head. So I have to constantly have a good amount of creative juice left in my brain. I had plans to first make a full various visuals tutorial made by the kid from a previous video. And funnily enough, it had its own lore despite it being made for a joke. Like the fact that the original person who narrates it gets replaced by his older brother. Definitely not because I hit puberty and my voice changed. But I later scrapped it because it would have barely gotten any views, due to the fact that it did not do so well even in the previous video, and because it just wouldn't have fit in if I uploaded it. But luckily, I knew what to do and I had a plan B in case it didn't work out. This video was gonna go over every single game mode in TC2. Yes, every single game mode. I still have the script and it is sadly unfinished. But I did have an idea of how it would have looked like. I first of all split the game modes into 3 sections, which were normal game modes, special game modes, and miscellaneous. Normal game modes like attack, defense, or payload. Special game modes as in versus bosses and infection. Miscellaneous like I don't know what I meant by that, but it was something. I literally scrapped this video because I wasn't happy with how the script turned out, even though I was only done with 4 game modes, and because I felt that the video would have been too short. If you took a look at the community of TC2 back in 2020, it would have definitely looked vastly different, and looked like as if the community somehow got replaced. This means that the TC2bers would have needed to somehow introduce themselves to the new group, which they obviously didn't do, metaphorically speaking, and therefore died out. They fell off. Now luckily, there was a group who had ideas and wanted to become YouTubers, which they have now become. Those are the new popular TCTubers we have today. The majority of old TCTubers got shed as if they were dead skin cells. This sequence started out at around July 31st of 2021, the day which Total Anarchy got released to the public, in which the now old TCTubers that got shed like skin cells decided to cling on to updates that were releasing like machines, and left their creative juice box that were already getting moldy behind, giving the new TCTubers time to make their own juice box and rise to fame in the TC2 community. I know, over-dramatized, but still, that's how I roughly went. Heck, even I thought about making videos of the updates, but considering the fact that I released a video every like 6 months, it would have taken too long and I would have been behind schedule. But honestly, I think that I need to change my content now. Now, don't panic, since I made a poll in my community tab asking if I should finish and upload that video about the TC2 game modes. It doesn't fix the problem, but it does at least delay it, giving me more time to think about it, since I am basically running out of ideas. And just so you know, this is the last video I've left, besides the whole TC2 game modes and various visuals ideas. Oh yeah, and also, because I want to expand my channel more. But thinking about that, it may honestly be a little bit too early to do so. So yeah, this may be my last video if my fans are all members of the TC2 Discord. If it is, then I will need to quickly brainstorm ideas for videos, since I really only have one video idea, which luckily I am intrigued by. I am hoping that the vote does succeed because, as I already said, it would give me more time to think about the choice and to brainstorm. Oh yeah, I also plan on making another feature in typical horrors called 2008 mode, in which the gameplay is still the same, except the graphics are just tuned down by just a little bit. It's just a terrible version of typical horrors. Oh yeah, and by the way, typical horrors 2 is guaranteed one day.
So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
And I'll see you again in 10 years.
Meow, 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 meow.